Hi, I'm Minya Jeanette, and I own Kingston Acupuncture and Wellness, and I'm here to show you how to do Gua Sha at home for you, your friends, and family. And if you're my patient, I've most likely done this on you if I'm sending you this video. And we're going to go and explain what Gua Sha is, how Gua Sha works, some of the contraindications, meaning who you can't do it on or when you can't do it on somebody, and also where not to do it on the body. With Gua Sha itself, from a Chinese medical perspective, we're actually moving congested qi and blood and fluids that build up. And that's somewhat straightforward. Qi is more of the functioning aspect of the body. It gets translated as energy. It has a lot more complicated translation than that. It has to really do with the functioning of all the systems in the body and basically anything in nature. Contraindications, or who you don't want to do Gua Sha on, are people with rashes, broken skin, autoimmune skin disorders. You want to be careful with going over the skin that has tissue damage there. You also want to be very careful with people who have anemia. And you don't want to do it on people going through chemo, especially types of chemo that suppress the bone marrow production. Also, specific areas you do not want to do Gua Sha in on the body. Some of it's obvious, but I'll go over that really quick. So an easy way to do that or measure that is to draw a line from the earlobe straight down, and do not go in front of that area on either side. You've got major blood vessels there near the surface. You can cause damage to the blood vessels, and you have some receptors there that if you massage them, you can cause the person to pass out. Now, obviously, we don't want that. You also don't want to do underside of the armpits. Same thing, blood vessels near the surface, lymph tissue. Then you also don't want to do on the inner side of the elbow. And because sometimes we work with carpal tunnel, you just want to be careful the area where you see the tendon come to the surface by the wrist, right here. You have nerves near the surface, and you have blood vessels near the surface. Lastly, you don't want to do Gua Sha on the inner groin area. We don't need to show you a picture of that. You all can figure that out. So moving on, we're going to discuss the tools that we use with Gua Sha. My favorite tool is a simple ceramic soup spoon. Most of you have seen these in restaurants when you have miso soup or ramen or anything like that. Simple, very straightforward tool, very easy to use. I put my thumb on the edge of the spoon and I just hold it. And it's not important that you get it exactly the way I'm holding it, but you want your grip to be solid and strong so that doesn't slip from your hand when you're doing the Gua Sha. So when we're going in to actually do the treatment, the oils that you use, very simple. You can use olive oil, you can use coconut oil. I use grapeseed oil because it stains less and it's very light, and it holds high heat, so it doesn't go rancid very easily. When we're going in to start, you want to be, if you're up on the head and shoulders, you want to make sure you're aware of what you're doing. So you have the shoulder blade here, and you want to work around the shoulder blade, and you want to work around alongside the spine. You can always look at charts online if you want a better idea, but it's pretty easy to feel where the spine is and where the edge of the shoulder blade is. And you want to be going away from the head. The reason for this, and I've seen some demonstrations where people go towards the head, you can give someone a headache and you can make them nauseous by doing this because you're actually getting too much blood flow to the head, whereas you actually want to help it get away from the head. Sometimes people have these headaches that actually come from congestion and tightness in the muscle in the upper trap area here, which will cause a headache that goes down the side of the head to the behind the eye. So you want to make sure you don't make that happen or make it worse. And you're just going to be doing a kind of gentle movement with your wrist. So I'm just doing a little different. I'm not actually doing the Gua Sha now, but I'm showing you how you will be doing it. So it's a very kind of gentle but firm stroke, and you can check in with your person. Make sure that they're comfortable and not in pain. And make sure they're not enduring something uncomfortable because they think they should. It should be within a comfortable range. It can be that kind of good massage hurt, but not ouch, get your hand away from me hurt. That is going to actually cause more pain and more damage in the long run if you have them do that. So we're going to do a little bit of massage to start with, just to warm the tissue. And I'll ask within a few seconds, how's that pressure?
Good.
Too much or too little? And now what you're going to do is start to see the petechiae coming up to the surface. That's what people describe as that sandy texture in the Gua Sha. And then we're going to go down alongside the spine on the edge. If you need a guidance, you can just put your hand here. You'll feel the bony prominences of the spinous processes of the spine here. And we're just going to go down alongside the spine. And then if you want to see where and make double check, if you can't feel the side of the scapula shoulder blade, you can have your person bring their arm back again. It'll pop up to the surface. Then you know you're on the inside of it. You can bring back and you know you're right here. So we're just going to do a few more strokes. Go to the shoulder blade here. Find the edge and the top of the shoulder blade. You can put your hand there and feel it. And then just go underneath this bony prominence here. And I'm going to do side strokes here because that's actually the direction of the muscle. I'm going to just do those few passes. How you doing with the pressure?
Good.
And you can see the marks coming up to the surface. Yeah, and that's pretty good. I'm going to do a little bit more and then I'm going to stop. And now you can see, if you didn't know what I was doing, if you didn't see what was happening to the person, they're not flinching, they're not cringing, they're not crying out in pain. It looks pretty intense. It looks like something else has happened here. So, you know, these marks are not very painful to receive. But if you're coming home or you're doing this on somebody, make sure they explain to that person what has happened to them. Finishing up here, the thing about Gua Sha and the petechiae marks that come to the surface, as you go along and do this, usually it's about once a week. If somebody has a lot of chronic muscle tension, once you wait for these marks to go away, you'll notice that they stop coming to the surface. And that's how you know you don't need to do it as much anymore because the body has been able to repair and you've gotten more loose muscle going on. Hopefully the person is doing some self-care to help with whatever causes the muscle tension on a regular basis. And eventually you can do it less and less on the person. Now I'm going to just do one more demonstration on the forearm because we have so many issues with our wrists and elbows and things like that with everyday wear and tear, work, repetitive stress injury, and just so you know that you can do it in other areas of the body. Remind you of where not to go when you're doing that. So the inner part of the elbow, we want to avoid here because of the nerves and the blood vessels that are near the surface. And then I'm going to just turn over here. And where you see these tendons coming to the surface by the wrist, you avoid that area because we've got the the radial, median, and ulnar nerve near the surface, as well as some major blood vessels as well. So we're going to turn the arm back down here. Traditionally, with massage, you go towards the heart, but and sometimes Gua Sha training they have you actually. It doesn't matter which direction you go, but for the sake of balance, I'm just going to go towards the heart in this session. So I'm going to take the spoon again, and I'm going to just put that pressure in, going up the arm. How's that pressure? Okay. Now, one of the things you'll feel, especially on an area like the forearm, is what almost feels like you're kind of going over a grate. It's almost bumpy or crunchy, as I'll say sometimes with patients. And that actually is what happens when the fascia, that's the layer that lays over the muscle. If you ever work with chicken, you'll see that layer of flesh, that kind of white film that's over the chicken flesh. That's fascia. We have it too. And when it gets bunched up and tightened, it almost creates like a saran wrap, like a crinkly saran wrap effect. And so what you're doing is actually moving over that. And you'll notice that it starts to go away as you do this. So you're breaking up fascial tissue that has gotten congested or tightened up. And as you see, here comes the marks. Sometimes it's not as much on the forearm, but you can definitely see it near the wrist. We're going up to the surface there. It's really good for certain types of wrist pain, forearm pain, especially from sports or working out, mouse. And then if you're gonna actually do the hand here, one of the most common places I'll do it here is right in between the thumb and forefinger. So I'll do a little bit of massage there. And this is why I love this tool so much, is you have this little tiny tip and you can just do this. Pressure, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel a little confusion there. And most likely you're not going to see much come to the surface here. So you just do that rule of just 15 passes and just leave it at that. And if you're going in between these little parts of the hand, people have some tightness, a little bit of pain in this area. As long as it doesn't hurt with pressure, you can go on and just do these little marks here in between the fingers. Pressure okay?
Yep.
Okay. Same thing, about 15 passes. It's comfortable for the person. And that's it. And then do this often for what's called Dupuytren's contracture. I'll absolutely show somebody how to do this when they do it themselves, but you can do it in the palm. And in this case, I'm actually just going to go towards the finger because it's easier to do. And just like that. Pressure okay?
Yes.
And here. And that's it. So you can also do this. A very popular place to do this is right down the side of the leg, on the upper leg or the thigh, where the IT band, where a lot of people have tension and pain there. So that is an area you can do. It's very easy to do on yourself, and often do this in treatment as well. It feels great. It's a really tight area for most people. It's a very long and tight tendon. So you can do that there. It's a common place to do it.